What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time. I messed up my own. This is 2 weeks in a row. I messed up my own intro. This is horrible. I hate myself. Okay, what's going on, good people of the internet? You know what? We're not going to do that. Hi, welcome, folks. This is on Comics Grounds, flagship podcast, panel to panel, where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. I need to quit having such a long intro. I need to finally change my intro because I've forgotten my intro after 3 years of actually 4 years of doing the show. I finally can't do my own intro anymore. But we are here once again to enjoy comic books and such like we always do. Don't forget that you can follow this podcast on Twitter at PTP_podcast. You can check out all of our podcasts that we've already recorded on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, all that good stuff on YouTube as well. But we are here once again for a special episode. I am sitting down with Mad Cave Studios editor-in-chief, Chris Sanchez. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely. Given the current situation we're going through, I definitely wanted to come in, help spotlight some of the amazing work you guys have been doing the past 2 years, or just the past few years that you guys have been putting out work. I wanted to bring you on, talk about the things you have been doing, some of the current situation, and how you're trying to help the comic book industry. So for those folks who don't really have an idea of what Mad Cave is or what you guys do, if you could sum it up by the elevator pitch for fans who have just been reading Big Two for years, what could you give people of what Mad Cave is about?
Sure. Mad Cave Studios is an independent comic book publisher, and we really pride ourselves on making as fun stories as possible and making those in a variety of different genres that touch basically everyone's kind of childhood influences and stuff that really makes the imagination that you had as a kid, that pure energy, and we try to put that in a comic.
Okay. And from can you give people an idea of how Mad Cave began for those folks who really don't know a lot about what you guys do?
Sure. Mark London, he's our CEO and the writer of many of our titles. It was sort of a passion project of his. And it really started with his wife just telling him, hey, do you have this idea that you've been talking about for years? To go do it. And so he did it and sort of created this publishing house, brought a lot of really cool, talented people on board. And from there, just sort of spring vaulted into going to cons, putting our stuff on Comixology, all that stuff, that indie stuff. And then Diamond, we sort of got into Diamond, and that's sort of where we launched Battle Cats, Midnight, Task Force, all these really cool series. That was our first year, and we're now going on our third year with Diamond, and it's a hell of a year to start with.
Oh, definitely. Definitely in the past few years, you've expanded from just having Midnight Task Force and Battle Cats to launch off with, to then going into amazing books like Honor and Curse. You had these brand new releases like Savage Bastards coming out in Show's End. You have this eclectic group of books that you wouldn't see at just DC or Marvel. You don't see the constant superhero type books. You see stories from every walk of life, and I wonder if you could give people sort of the reason behind that, rather than having an interconnected universe, why you pride yourself on letting all these different worlds come to life on the page.
Right. So that's the one thing Mark and me and Chris Fernandez, our publisher, where we try to really bring to this company is these various different worlds and cool ideas and just weird out there things that you can't really do in interconnected stories or just superhero stories. We really like to play with every genre and just see where we go from there, seeing how twisty and fun we can get and bend different genres and sort of just comics have an unlimited budget, at least for what's on the page.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to do that justice, not that, as again, we have stuff like Over the Ropes, which is a very cool wrestling drama, which, could be filmed like an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool to see that on the page and do really cool character work and do really fun stuff. So it's really just as long as you have a story to tell, I think Mad Cave is a place where you can tell that story.
Most definitely. And like there's a great variety to be held here. You have horror, you have adult more oriented type stories with Midnight Task Force. There's this sort of anybody could pick up a book kind of feel at Mad Cave. Is that like a fair way to like put it for folks?
Yeah, we want to try to have a story for everyone, honestly.
Okay. Okay. So in the past couple of years, if you could say like the great progress you guys have been doing, and now you having stepped into the role as editor in chief, what like if like say we move past the current situation, what plans do you like? Where have you been aiming for, or what type of atmosphere do you want to have moving forward when it comes, especially because last year and the year before that, you started having talent searches. You had the ability to anybody to come in and present work and try to have new material for you guys. What kind of atmosphere do you want to like convey for the comic book industry?
So first and foremost, we want to be a publisher that is easy and fun to work with. Like we, in all aspect of it, whether that's retailer sales or production with writers and artists, we want to be someone. We want to be people that actually feel like people. Like a
Yeah.
publisher that is run by human beings and are fun and creative and with the same ideas. Like, and that's what I try to do now as editor in chief. It's like be a part of the process of bringing cool people on board, bringing talented creators that that are both new to publishing or new to comics or new just to the industry at large, that have that passion and that talent, and we just need to be a little just needed to give the right opportunity to those people, as well as experienced creators, which we're now starting to move more into. Especially with like I'm now in charge of an editorial team of like very very cool editors that are very good at their jobs, and I think that is a strong place to start. Early, what I was thinking, it was a strong place to start of like this new sort of era in Mad Cave of making as quality at books with still that same Mad Cave fun flair to them.
Okay, okay. And then in terms of like you even said yourself, or like you wanted to have a great relationship with all aspects of the industry. You said from the jump, you have like made sure to involve yourself with the con scene, involve yourself with comic book shops. You even have a comic book shop spotlight you guys have been doing for a long time now. What made you want to have a focus on the comic book store specifically?
That mainly came down from Mark and everyone involved, but Mark really sets the tone of just like he is a person that you can reach out at any point and have a conversation with, even though he's at whatever level of the company. Like you can go to his office and just have a conversation with him. He's just that real a dude.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the attitude that we want to bring up. Just like we're just people who love comics and want to make cool comics. That's really it. And we don't want to be like those assholes who are like, this is my art, and if you don't get this art, like, no, dude, like we're here making comics and making fun stuff and being cool people, because that's something that I like. No matter how good your comic is, if you're an asshole, I don't really care to read it.
That's fair.
It's and that's something I don't ever want to have. I don't ever want to hear from someone that they had a bad experience with someone at Mac Cave, or whether it's editorial or retailers. I don't like hearing that, because that's something that I'm not about. I really want everyone who works with us at any capacity or even interacts with us online to never have a bad experience. Either if you don't like our comics, you can't say that we're not like cool, nice people. You know, I I try to bring that out as much as anyone else. Really, everyone in the company is like that, and just we don't want uh, we we really try to be as accepting and as positive as possible.
That's fair. That's fair. And that's why you even have a book like Knights of the Golden Sun that tries to take a piece of like of the Judeo-Christian faith and twist it. But you even said before in a previous interview that you are open to any walk of life coming in to have a book at Mad Cave, which I think is amazing. You have the idea from a lot of like people in the industry that we've seen recently, a vocal minority that has said that, oh, like certain voices shouldn't have a platform in the comic industry, but you have gone out of your way to make that a possibility.
Yeah, no, it's uh, if you're if you're about positivity, if you're you know a nice person, if you're these kinds of things, and you're not out to hurt people, I don't see why you can't have any walk of life and come through and tell a story. That's just me. Obviously, if you're about hurting, people are being an asshole or trying to say hurtful things, then I think there's a you know you shouldn't be like robbed of that platform. But I'm gonna not read your stuff, and I'm gonna not tell people to read your stuff because that's not what I'm about. you know and that's more, yeah, sort of like Mark's told that Knights is his baby, just like this grand Christian epic and thing. But none of those values or thing are not really present in Hellfighter. They're a different kind of value set, or in Over the Ropes, they're a different kind of value set. There's these all different walks of life that come through and just tell fun, cool stories.
That's fair. That's very fair. I love that you have that kind of mindset. And now moving forward with the current situation we find ourselves in, I definitely love that with the care for the comic book industry, you have like as a company, Mad Cave has like started this relief fund for like the comic book retailer. Would you want to like give some more info about that? Help spotlight that in a way.
Yeah, sure. To relief fund. This was again another one of sort of Mark's ideas that we're sort of pitching around ideas what we can do for the retailer, because they're really the ones. Comics in itself. We talk about publishers, we talk about the fans, but the retailer, they're a network of small businesses, and small businesses are the ones most affected by this COVID-19 sort of pandemic, stoppage of work, every kind of thing. Um, and they're the ones being shuttered and forced to ask for relief and forced to lay off employees, and they're the people really struggling. And again, with Diamond sort of closing shop, they're not going to get a new product in. And with that, even if they are open, the new comics coming in is the majority of reason why people go to comic shops, is to get their weekly pull. And that's a huge income just being lost immediately. So what we try to do at Matt Cave is set up what we're doing at Matt Cave is set up a relief fund, which has a goal of 100 grand that we're gonna split into sort of chunks for every retailer that contacts us, and asked to be a part of this sort of fund. And it's so far we're getting uh, a lot of just attention to this fund, and I'm super proud of all the people that have donated, and I'm super impressed with what we've been able to do. And yeah, I'm really hopeful that we hit our goal, and we do something actually very good for the industry.
Yeah, but the idea of this is amazing. When I first saw this, I was blown away. But that we were actually trying to help the retailer, because the retailer has been this cornerstone of comics for years now. We used to have them on the newsstands, but then once they became specialty stores, they were every part of and every facet of the comic book industry. So with such an integral piece like Diamond stepping out of the picture, what are your guys' plans to keep comic books moving, or in terms of trying to help, like any other way you have thought of to help like the industry besides the relief fund?
Yeah, just sort of said about spotlighting different stores that are still open. Many are retailer relations manager. He does a very good job of reaching out. And Taylor Magruder also is what another retailer person. They both have done phenomenal work in these times of just contacting retailers, making sure what is there anything that we can do, spotlights through our social media channels, just to make sure that we can do like as much as possible to make sure people know about these stores that are still open, that do mail order, that you can buy gift certificates from, that you can try to do what you can. It's and especially we're also aware of the fact that these are hard times for a lot of people. Not just the
Mm-hmm.
comic retailers, but there's some people that can't afford the 10 10 15 something donation or whatever that you feel like you would need to do for that, and that's fine. But we ask to like share out this information, and those people of means that that will survive this, that still have their jobs, that are still are not in danger of like not making rent or something, that you give back to a community that is full of love, is full of people that are passionate about it, and is full of just, and it's an industry that you know we're niche within sort of this like niche of like book publishing and then comic publishing, and sort of this very
Mm-hmm.
tight knit niche that needs your support, and I think a lot of people in this thing have been lifelong fans of comics, and that passion doesn't go away. And I want to see it. It's comics are going to survive, obviously, but some of these comic shops aren't, and comic shops are a huge part of like my love of comics.
Definitely, and with Chris Fernandez's like announcement today of saying you guys aren't going to be releasing any books after a certain time period because of Diamond, like closing up shop for a little bit. Is there anything that you can tell us of what your plans are, or like what is like the operation like, going on at this point that you can like convey for the people?
Sure. So we just released a statement today that we are delaying all, like, basically delaying all releases, but especially new releases of like a new series until further notice. That's sort of just to be safe, and just what we're doing. And especially with Diamond, we don't want to release a book to stores that aren't open, or because that doesn't just hurt us, that also hurts the stores, because they're releasing a book. We're trying to sell a book to a market that isn't there, which isn't good for us, and it's not good for the stores. So we're doing our part in limiting our production as much as, or limiting our releases as much as possible. Production internally still going. We're still, my job has still been the same for the past 2 weeks or something since I've started working. And it's, yeah, just working with my editors, working with writers and artists, and working on the books that I have right now that are not only set for this year but are set for the next year's.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm glad to see that production is still going on as planned. That way, once we are out of this current crisis, you can put the books back out there and help the industry get back on its feet. You have this amazing products that you want to like give out to the people and have them help support the industry that we all do love. I know, and you just even said right there, you've just been promoted to editor in chief, and you have this brand new like team going on. Do you want to like help? Like give an idea of the current books you have out on shelves that you can help like give spotlight to, they can pick up on Comixology, or I know some stores are doing like drop off pickup in terms of or that kind of service. Like, can you give some spotlight to that?
Yeah, no, and for sure, these are in Comixology. Can contact your store. I see if they have these titles. Please do, please do. But stuff like Shozen, which just came out in trade, it's hugely. I'm super super proud of that book, and I think it's probably my favorite trade that we have right now. It's awesome. We have Over the Ropes going. We just released Hellfighter Quinn, which is this very cool martial arts kung fu story. We have Savage Bastards, which is this very beat western that's very cool. I love Savage. That we just released. We have RV9 coming to trade, which is actually one of our more popular books. This is assassin sort of revolutionary story. It's very cool. And yeah, just on social media, we're doing a really good job of making sure people are aware of our books and making sure people would know where to get them, and making sure that comic shops are getting that love of they're in comic shops right now, at least the one they still have, and they're still if you can go to your comic shop and see their back issues, see their trades list, see what they have there. Yeah.
Most definitely, like with like, the current situation, any help that you can give to a comic book shop is definitely appreciated. So when the idea of the relief fund really struck out to me as something that was very needed, especially with a lot, we were kind of just at the mercy of the situation. It seems like, I don't know if you can really like get like give any thoughts on what's been going on or how the atmosphere has been like doing for you, if you want to bet anything about that.
Yeah, just looking around the industry and talking to creators, just seeing what different publishers are doing. I think we're all just sort of like on a holding, waiting period. Um, just to say how long this is gonna be, sort of thing, and that goes even much more to just publishing. It just like those people in shelter in peace situations. This is a thing that the entire country slash world is going through that we have still are relatively early in, at least in the US. We don't know really how long this is going to be. We don't know the landscape is going to be 3, 6, 9 months from now. So we're kind of in a sort of a month by month basis of what we can do, what we can plan for, and what do we know is going to happen until we get more confirmation from our distribution or just different states and honestly from the local governments. It's, it's where I think the majority of the comics industry is on a holding pattern.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. I know that a lot of different creators have been trying to voice support. You, like with the company, have been trying to voice support for the local comic book shop because it is such a cornerstone of what we do. So, if there was anything you could really say on behalf of Mad Cave to local comic book shops or to the fans in terms of trying to keep spirits up about the industry, what could you say?
I can say that comics aren't going anywhere. They're here to stay. That they're a medium that are near and dear that as much, I assume everyone listening here, like we all love comics, and they're not going to go away. And the reason why is because people to support the industry, the outcry of support that has been coming up from creators, from publishers, from everyone involved in the industry. I think everyone is there to support these stores and support the medium and make sure it doesn't go away. And I think just reach out to your comic book shop. If you're local, if you haven't had a pull in a while, just check out a couple trades, what they have. Do what you can. And if you can, at least shout them out. See if you can volunteer, because a lot of comic shops are going through a very shortage of employees as they can't really pay them. Again, it's like if you have the means and you have the time, try to help out as much as you can. And when Diamond does come back, or whenever this production sort of holding period is kind of over and the comic shops are open again and you're able to you know go to your comic shop again and start a poll, please do it. Please go in. Um, don't don't just I'm not gonna tell you to just support Matt Cave. Don't do it. Support every independent publisher doing a job and doing their part in making sure this industry stays where it is or it gets better.
Hmm. Definitely. And I know like one thing that we've been trying to be more vocal about on our podcast specifically is the benefit of a pre-order and how much pre-orders matter not only to the industry but to the comic book shop. I don't know how much like emphasis you can give on how much a pre-order matters, but if you can, like what would you say in regards to that?
Oh, pre-orders are probably the most important thing, at least when it comes to single issue releases. Um, I mean, they're super important in OGN releases and book publishing. Their pre-orders gauge how much interest uh, a shop has. Really, like sure, a shop like an owner of a shop can we send advanced reader copies or something, and they can like the issue, but if they buy 5 of them and only or they're not going to buy 5 of them if they only have one person on the poll for that book. Sure, they can do their part in trying to sell the book and trying to give it to customers that they know and understand, but that puts a lot of onus on the owner. Um, so, pre-orders are vastly important in making sure, like, hey, tell the people at your comic shop, like, hey, this book's really cool. I just saw it online, or I just saw it in previews. Like, what can we do about this book, and putting it on your pool, because again, there's a big difference between having 5 people on a pool to having 2. Do 5, you might the person ordering might be like, oh hey, there's like some pretty good amount of interest in here, let me order 10 instead of ordering just the 5. It's all about that pre-order and being excited about the book, and making sure, if you're really excited about it, make sure people know about the book. Because again, independent comics are very they live and die on those pre-orders. They really do.
Definitely. And I know like you just had a brand new series, Savage Bastards, hit the number 2 issue yesterday. And the stories you're telling matter. You see like excuse me, you have these amazing stories that are coming, and you see the typical stories, but not even typical, the stories that we're so used to with Marvel and DC. But then you see these like sort of catered to different audiences or new ideas that you're putting out, and the emphasis on how important the independent market is. And I know there is like independent has been very criticized just for like not being what the big 2 are, but you guys specifically tell stories that not the normal comic book fan would enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to tell the stories that we want to tell. That's honestly, like, of course we have to figure out it and stuff like that, but it really comes down to is the idea that is the idea that we have, is there a story there, and is that story something that we want to tell? And if those goals are met, then we want to tell that story. Same thing with Savage. We really want to tell a Western story. And when we got David in from the Talent Search, and we pitched him the idea, he went with it, and I think it's awesome. I think it's a really well done story. The artist on it does everything from pencils, lines, colors. He does everything. I think that book looks and is awesome. And that there has to be passion there, and the creators tell that story beautifully. I really, the stories we tell at Mac are stories that we genuinely love and tell. That's what goes into our decision making of why we want to tell these stories, or why we want to make something, or why we want to be something. It really is. We're super passionate and proud of everything we do.
All right, definitely. I appreciate that drive there to give people newer types of stories and unique ideas. There's the fear like that there could be that just a typical story come about, but you make these brand new concepts and brand new ideas, and I love that so much. So definitely, folks, please make sure that even if it's on Comixology, or if you know that your store has these books stocked, please check them out. You can go to the Mad Cave Studios website and look at what they have. They have this awesome library of books. I remember first reading Midnight Task Force 2 years ago and being blown away about what I saw. So only like even now more than ever, Mad Cave is definitely kicking butt. I want to congratulate you guys, even in this like hard time, that you are still putting out amazing products.
Yeah, man, and I want to thank you for your support in these last 2 years. It's been awesome getting to meet people like you, everyone else, just comics media and reviewers that are they're doing this because they love it as much as we do, and it's super awesome to feel that comics are a medium that everyone here, everyone making comics, writing about comics, loves comics. That like you really can't escape that if you're in this industry. It's so small. It's there's not a lot of money in it. The eyes in it are just not as much as there is in like TV or movies. But we all love this shit so much that we really can't stop talking about it or can't stop making it. And that's why I really love comics, is because the people making them, the people talking about them, all love it, and that's my favorite thing.
All right. I love that. I love that you care, because there's that fear from a lot of folks that like, oh, the people behind the scenes like are just putting out a product to like to sell it. But in reality, you do care. You want to see the industry grow. You care so much about the comic book store you're making this relief fund. And like we will definitely have that linked down below in the description of the episode. We will link it on our Twitter when the episode goes live tonight for everybody. So definitely check this out. Help support your local comic book industry. Check out Mad Cave. I want to say thank you so much, Chris, for coming on this evening and helping showcase what you guys have been doing. More now than ever, we need to help support the industry. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Dude, I appreciate you having me, and thank you for letting me talk about the different stuff, and to tell everyone else, like, yeah, we're building stuff now. We're in a holding pattern right now, but just like when stuff does come back, there's stuff in my inbox that is gonna blow your guys' mind. I can't wait to talk about some stuff. It's gonna be really fun.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Don't forget that you can check out all these books. We have a brand new back issue review of Savage Bastards #1. Travis, one of my co-stars here at Panel to Panel, will have a review of Savage Bastards #2 on Monday for you good people that you can check out and help check it out online, or if your comic book shop has it, please, like, even if your store is just doing pickup, please support it if you can. You can check out this podcast on Twitter at PTP_podcast. You can listen to us on all the major podcast platforms like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, all those great things. And we will be back next week with a brand new episode for you, good folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace out.